The book of Hebrews is an epistle in the New Testament, primarily focused on explaining how Jesus, Yeshua, is the fulfillment of the Old Testament promises and how his priesthood and sacrifice transcend the Levitical system given in the Torah. The letter was written to a Jewish Christian audience, likely facing pressure to return to traditional Jewish practices, particularly the sacrificial system of the temple. Jesus as the fulfillment of the Torah. Hebrews explains that the Torah, especially the Levitical priesthood and sacrifices, were a shadow, or copy, of the heavenly realities, Hebrews 8 verse 5. The Torah sets the foundation for understanding God's holiness, justice, and the need for a perfect mediator. Jesus, as the Messiah, is the true high priest, not according to the Levitical order, but the eternal order of Melchizedek, Hebrews 7. His once-for-all sacrifice is superior to the continual animal sacrifices under the law, fulfilling the Torah's requirements for atonement, Hebrews 9 verses 11 to 14. Jesus as the ultimate sacrifice. The sacrificial system in the Torah points forward to the need for a perfect and final sacrifice. Hebrews emphasizes that the blood of bulls and goats could never truly remove sin, Hebrews 10 verse 4. Instead, Jesus' death is the ultimate and perfect sacrifice, achieving what the animal sacrifices could only symbolize: the true removal of sin and reconciliation with God, Hebrews 10 verses 10 to 12. The priesthood of Jesus. In the Torah, the priests mediate between God and the people through the temple sacrifices. Hebrews teaches that Jesus is the true mediator of a better covenant. Unlike the earthly priests who were fallible and had to offer sacrifices for their own sins, Hebrews 7 verse 27, Jesus, sinless and eternal, mediates a new covenant, providing direct access to God, Hebrews 4 verses 14 to 16. Faith as the continuation of the Torah's promises. Hebrews links the faith of the Torah-keeping forefather Abraham, Moses, and others, to the faith required in Jesus as Messiah, Hebrews 11. The heroes of faith in Hebrews 11 are shown to be looking forward to the fulfillment of God's promises, which are fully realized in Jesus. This suggests continuity between the faith of the Torah and the faith in Christ. Encouragement to persevere in faith. The letter encourages believers not to return to the old system of sacrifices and rituals but to hold fast to their faith in Jesus as the Messiah, Hebrews 10 verses 19 to 25. It reassures them that Jesus has fulfilled the Torah's purposes and that their salvation is secure in him. The book of Hebrews helps believers understand that the Torah is not set aside but fulfilled in Jesus. It was a preparation for the coming of the Messiah, with its rituals, sacrifices, and priesthood foreshadowing his ultimate work. Believers are now called to live by faith in the Messiah, recognizing that the righteousness, holiness, and relationship with God that the Torah aimed to produce are now realized through Jesus' priesthood and sacrifice. In summary, Hebrews bridges the gap between the Torah and faith in Jesus, showing that the law points to Christ, and Christ is the full expression and fulfillment of the Torah's purpose. Jesus, Yeshua, not only upheld the commandments of the Torah but elevated them to a higher standard in his teachings. In the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5-7, he affirmed the importance of the law, saying he came not to abolish it but to fulfill it. However, he deepened the interpretation by focusing on the heart and intentions behind actions, not just external observance. For example, while the Torah commands not to murder, Jesus taught that even harboring anger or hatred is equivalent to breaking this commandment, Matthew 5 verses 21 to 22. Similarly, he expanded the prohibition of adultery to include even lustful thoughts, Matthew 5 verses 27 to 28. He also emphasized loving one's enemies, going beyond the command to love one's neighbor, Matthew 5 verses 43 to 44. Through these teachings, Jesus called his followers to an inward transformation, living out the Torah not only in actions but in heart and mind. In essence, Jesus upheld the commandments but raised the standard, calling people to live in a way that reflects God's holiness both externally and internally. Until the next post, Shalom.